Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today we're going to be reviewing the infamous Dyson Airwrap, the complete collection, which I have right here, and also testing out 3 different hairstyles on my hair to see how all the different attachments perform. I think we basically go over all of the attachments that this comes with. The 2 biggest concerns that people have with this product, excluding the ridiculous $550 price tag, is A, it takes a lot of time to style your hair with this tool and all the attachments, and B, the curls don't last very long, or the style in general doesn't last very long. So in this video, we're going to be testing them both out. I think this comes down to hair type, but we'll get into that. First, let's get some quick disclaimers out of the way. Number 1, this video is obviously not sponsored by Dyson in any shape or form, to my everlasting disappointment. But B, I also did not buy this with my own money. This is actually my mom's, and she received this as an anniversary present from my dad about a month ago. I may or may not have had something to do with that. So I did not shed my own tears of blood to acquire this expensive thing. Just want to get that out of the way. And lastly, I am not a hairstylist or a professional, or even just a styler of hair, to be honest. I mostly just let my hair air dry. I rarely, if ever, use heat on it. I do have a straightener and a curling iron, and I do use both of them from time to time. I have gotten salon style blowouts before, but this is far and few in between, and I don't style my hair on a daily basis. But I thought it would be interesting for this review to come from someone who just wanted a product they could use from time to time and on special occasions rather than a daily heat styling tool. And also from someone who is not very good with these tools to see how much more complicated this is. Okay, so I've done my research before testing out this tool, and there are so many reviews out there. And I think it boils down to 2 camps of people who either love this tool and use it religiously, or those who think the cons outweigh all of the pros and that it's a giant waste of money, essentially. But I think to figure out which camp you'll fall into, the 2 most important factors will come down to frequency of use and hair type. So my hair type, personally, I have really thick, and I mean stylists have previously complained about the thickness of my hair when cutting my hair, thick hair. So it generally is a pain in the ass for me to use any kind of styling tool because it takes forever. My hair also has the same consistency from root to shaft, which really just means it's the same thickness throughout, and it doesn't get thinner as you get to the bottom of my hair. When I go get my haircuts, I actually ask them to thin out my hair a little bit to take a bit of the weight out, because while I have naturally straight to wavy hair depending on its mood, it does get to the straighter end of the spectrum the longer it gets, as the weight really buries my hair. The texture of my hair is a bit drier towards the bottom because I have an old balayage in. I'm trying to grow out now. It used to be a lot silkier when I was younger. Pins would not even stay in my head, they would just slide right out. But I think right now it's just quite normal with dry ends that I do try to treat. Okay, so this is probably my favorite look of them all because of the amount of time it takes, which is approximately 5 to 10 minutes. And the fact that it straight up just leverages my natural hair texture and hair waves and just enhances it a little. So what we need for this is just the Airwraps, the 40mm long barrels. We did have to go and buy these separately. So another $30 or 100 dirhams right there. But for my length hair and for the loose waves that I'm trying to create, this works best. Even for the bouncy curls that we do later, this works best. So honestly, I would go with these barrels if you can. And then the round brush for a little bit of volume at the roots. So this is what my hair looks like today. No 2 washes are also ever the same. My hair does its own thing. And I think it's a little bit flatter than normal, but yeah, I do have a bit of natural texture going on. The entire look takes 10 minutes. We will time it again to be sure, but that is pretty much the limit of the amount of time I'm willing to spend on my hair on a daily basis. It's also really great if you want to refresh second day hair, if you're super active or get sweaty at the gym or get sweaty by breathing. This is really good because if you feel like your second or third day hair is looking really janky, 10 minutes and you're sorted, because we're starting out with dry hair. Here we go. Let's get started with the timer. As I mentioned before, I usually begin with air dried hair that I've washed and dried using a lazy version of the curly girl method. I start with some heat protectant and then work on a couple of pieces of the outermost layer of my hair, using the Airwrap almost exactly how I would use a curling wand to create the same beachy waves look. I hold the Airwrap vertically but upside down and manually wrap the hair around the barrel while leaving out the ends. Then I turn on the air, let it run for a couple of seconds, and end by setting it with a cool shot by pressing up the power button before letting out the hair. To create volume at the top of my head and bangs and tame some of those flyaways, I'm using the round brush and wrapping all the way from the ends to the roots. Holding it at the base by rolling the brush back and forth and keeping the hair taut creates the most lift at the top. Again, I set the hair with the cool shot before letting it down. The two most important factors to creating this kind of relaxed style are firstly, creating curls going in opposite directions. So I'm wrapping both away from my face and towards it on either side. And more importantly, focusing the curl towards the root and center of the hair shaft rather than the ends, which we've left out of the barrel to remain straight. A few pieces here and there, a little bit of hairspray, and we're done. Super straightforward and easy. It doesn't look substantially different than what we started with, just a slightly more up-leveled version, in my opinion. Okay, so it's 5 a.m. the next morning and I've just rolled out of bed. As you can see here, I'm up because I need to head to the airport. There's some bags lying around in the background. But it's not been quite 24 hours at this point, but I've definitely spent the entire day in this hair and then slept on it. And I still think it looks just fine, especially the front that I really round brushed. It looks exactly the same. It still has the style and the curl. And then the rest of my hair was just my natural waves. So I think it holds up pretty well. Okay. So today I have a little bit of time on my hands, so I'm going to do the 20-minute hair look. For that I'm going to be using the round volumizing brush. I think that's what it's called. Just the round barrel brush. And then the other, there's still hair on it because I've been using it, the firm smoothing brush. I washed my hair last night, so I'm working with clean hair here, but I didn't put in any curl cream or any product like I normally would if I was just letting it air dry and then going about my day. So this is completely clean, fresh hair, still a little bit it's still a little bit damp even though I washed it last night. I mean, I did mention my hair was thick, didn't I? But anyway, that's perfect because that's what you want when you're working with it. But for the front sections that have dried up, I'm just gonna spray. This is just some random face mist lying around, which is just water. So I'm gonna spray this in my hair, but honestly, you could just wet your hair a little bit. I keep looking that way because the mirror is at an angle on this end. I'm actually gonna time this to see how long it really takes. So let's go. I'm gonna start by sectioning out my hair into 3 sections. Well, actually 4 sections if you include my bangs, and working my way up from the bottom. I run the brush straight down the front and back of each section a couple of times to both dry out my hair and smooth it out. And then I finally wrap just the ends outwards, holding it there for a couple of seconds, adding the cool shot, and then letting it down once it's cooled enough. The round brush allows me to work in big sections, which dramatically cuts down the time this entire process takes. I can do each side of my hair that I let down in 2 sections, 1 if I'm being ambitious and or lazy. It's definitely a lot easier than having to hold a separate round brush and then blow drying it with your other hand. I still can't really manage that with my own head. I found that you don't have to be super precise with this to get the general look I'm going for, which is great. If you have long layers like me, this look will definitely highlight them and bring them out more. I'm doing the top of my hair and bangs exactly like the previous hairstyle and letting the hair frame my face however it wants to fall. I'm just gonna let it part where it wants to part, which is slightly off center today. And then for the finishing touch, because you will get a lot of these flyaways, you've got all the volume. Now I'm just gonna smooth out just the top. So I'm not gonna touch the bottom at all, just the top a little bit. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of this Virtue Alpha Keratin. It's a new hair oil, I really like it. Just to my ends. That's the finished look. And it is 20 minutes, 22 seconds. It probably could have been even shorter if I wasn't filming and trying to show my hair to the camera. Maybe I could have done it in like 15 minutes. If you have less thick hair than me, which can be done in like 2 sections, this could take 10 minutes. So it really depends on your hair type, but I think it looks really pretty. And there's volume, and the ends are slightly curled, but not too curled. And it looks like a blowout. Maybe a second day blowout, but a blowout nonetheless. Honestly, I think it looks pretty good for day 2 hair. There's not going to be a defined curl, but we didn't go for that to begin with, so. Okay, we're down to the third and final look, and probably the main reason you bought the Dyson Airwrap. I'm going to be using the firm smoothing brush attachment. I seem to use this for all the looks. And the 2 long 40mm barrels. For anywhere past collar length hair, I think if you don't have the longer barrels, it's gonna take you even longer. And this look already is gonna take us about 50 minutes. I'm starting with freshly washed hair, which I did apply my curl cream and a little bit of a mousse throughout the hair, just to enhance the hold, because this is what I would normally do even if I'm using a curling iron. My hair does not like to hold a curl whatsoever, so I want to give the Dyson every chance to be able to hold a curl. So I did all of that, let it air dry a little. This is what my hair would naturally air dry to and look like, but now it's about 70% dry, I would say. It's still a little bit wet, especially at the roots, but we're gonna dry that off using the firm smoothing brush. The heat and the air are on the highest settings, which, as we've established, is still not very high compared to other tools. And I'm just gonna brush my hair back only at my roots. So I'm just gonna brush down till about 3/4 of the way and stop. And I'm gonna brush in every different direction just so the volume is really maintained while it's still smoothing out the roots, so the frizz at the top is not out of control. It's really important to deal with the roots first. You don't want wet roots when you start using the Airwraps to put the curls in, because the Airwrap doesn't actually go all the way to the root. Your curls are mostly concentrated in the lower half. So we want to deal with the roots first, get the frizz out, have them laying exactly how we want to lay them, and then the Airwrap is just for the bottom half of the hair. This is kind of different from a curling iron. So not using this attachment and not dealing with your roots first will not set you up for success, is what I have learned the painful way. Okay. Just like the last look, we're gonna split the hair into 4 big sections and start with the bottom layer. Okay, this is turning into a super professional video, but I forgot to turn on the timer. So we're gonna do it now, and I think about 5 minutes have gone by since I started doing that. So we'll just tack on 5 minutes to the end, but you'll still get a good idea of how long this part will actually take. There we go. So I'm just gonna look in the mirror, and then whichever side the arrows are facing, if it's going away from my face, this is for my left side. I'm gonna do all the curls in one direction. And because this thing is so huge, unlike a curling iron where I would hold it like this, like I did in the BT Waves look, for this one, I'm just gonna hold it the way that Dyson does in all of their videos, which is just like this, and it'll do all the work. So taking really, really small sections. If you think you have a small section, reduce it a little bit more, and that's probably the right size of the section you need to take. Make sure that the ends are a little bit wet still, because the annoying thing with the Dyson is you need the perfect amount of dampness. If it's too wet, it just won't wrap around this. It won't be picked up by the air. And if it's too dry, then there'll be a lot more frizz and your curls won't last. So we have a bit of a Goldilocks situation going on. But I think this is good right now. Again, highest heat, highest air. And yeah, I'm just gonna hold it from the middle. Don't hold it from the ends, because nothing is gonna happen. There's nothing. It just won't work. You gotta hold it from the middle to ensure that the bottom can wrap around the hair more easily. I'm trying to let each of the curls wrap in a spiral from the base to the top of the barrel so that the heat is distributed evenly and the hair is not just sitting on top of each other. Holding the cool shot for at least 10 to 15 seconds here is critical. On top of that, I'm still holding it in place for another few seconds once I let it out to make sure that the curl is completely cool and set in place. Once the hair is down, I am absolutely not going to touch it at all until the entire head is done. Maybe not even then. I keep switching out the barrels for each side of the head and further splitting and pinning away hair that I'm not working with to make it more manageable. Wherever the hair isn't picked up as easily by the air wrap, I just like to help it along a little with some manual wrapping. This part has already fallen quite a bit. This is still tight curls, which is why you do not touch it. I'm gonna put a layer of hairspray between each of the layers because my curls fall out extremely quickly. Just a really light layer. Maybe I should start doing each side. So the plan to hairspray each side turned into hairspraying each individual piece as soon as I let it down. The air wrap does get fairly hot, so keeping the hair taut and rolling the barrel back and forth near the root helps it not feel like your scalp is on fire. It's probably too big a piece. It's not gonna work, but let's give it a shot. Is a little bit too big. As you could see, all the hair was escaping down the barrel, off to the sides, but I am losing patience, so we're just gonna go with it. So we just continue the same process all the way through, over and over and over again. Luckily, I actually had a friend's engagement event to attend this evening, so it didn't feel all for naught. So this is not my usual hair parting, so my hair is resisting this a little bit, but I do want to wear this style for tonight's event, so I'm going to blow dry it that way. I'm styling the bangs the exact same way as the rest of my hair, taking the smallest humanly possible sections at the top. I'm so tired. It's exactly 50 minutes. No, in fact, there was another 5 minutes of smoothing before. So this was a 55-minute hairstyle. Yeah. I mean, it looks pretty, yes. But would I do this again? I don't know. Unless it's a wedding look, this is not worth it. Not for me in any case. But if you have less hair or hair that holds a curl more easily, it might take you 30 minutes and then it might be more worth it. So We shall see, and we shall see how these last, so I'll be right back. Okay, quick update. I wanted to do a quick update because it's a couple of hours later now, almost 4 hours later, and I'm getting ready for the event. I've changed, and as you can see, almost all the curls have fallen out already. I did everything to have these curls in place, but they just will not hold on my hair type. My hair still looks nice and blow dried and smooth, but it does not look like I put big bouncy curls in it. In defense of the Dyson, I did spend the last 2.5 hours on the golf course with a cap on the windy greens, so that might have had something to do with it, but I wasn't doing anything that strenuous or active to get rid of all of the curls in 4 hours. So I am gonna touch it up a little bit, just the top layer and the front for the sake of the event tonight. But I am assuming if I dance even a little bit or I sweat even a little bit, it's all gonna just fall right out. So let's see how that looks tomorrow morning. So I've touched up a few pieces, maybe 5 or 6 pieces on the left side, and just pin the right side back. So that is the look. Let's see how long this style will last. I'm hoping for an hour. Okay, so it's the next morning, and surprisingly I barely danced or did anything crazy the night before, but to no one's surprise, the curls have fallen out. So you can see them at the bottom, but for the most part, there are no curls. Okay, final thoughts, and I'm just gonna cut to the chase and say that the Airwrap is not going to compare to a curling iron, even though I feel like I've been saying it throughout this video because that's my only point of comparison. The Airwrap it's not a one-to-one comparison with a curling iron because they do different things. The Airwrap is more for volume at the roots and those like big voluminous blowout curls, whereas the curling iron will give you tighter curls without the volume at the roots, and you can adjust where you want your curl to sit. So it's not exactly the same, but is it worth it? And like most complicated answers in life, the answer is it depends. It depends on what you're going to be using the Airwrap for. If you frequently style your hair, this may be worth it for you. If you are willing to spend half an hour to an hour every time you wash your hair and then you want to style your hair, this might be worth it. If you have fine to medium thickness hair and length hair, or even longer hair, and you really like that look on you, and the curls will stay on your hair type, they generally do with a curling iron as well, then the Airwrap might be a good tool for you. So you can see where this is going. Personally for me, I don't find it very worth it. I think I can replicate the look with just the Revlon $50 product, which has the round brush and a curling iron, and get all 3 of these looks. Especially the last one, I can actually get that to stay at least 12 hours. So for me personally, it's not worth it. But for my mom, whose product this actually is, this might be worth it because she actually has a lot of heat damage. She does style her hair a lot more frequently than I do, at least once a week. And she has coarser, frizzier hair. And she just wants a tool, even if she's not fully styling it every single day, she wants a tool to like be able to tame her hair anytime she's coming out and do all of that. And her hair does hold a curl. So for her, this is actually kind of worth it. Let's see what she thinks after a couple of months of use. But for her, this is worth it. For me, this is not. So we're back to the beginning of the video where I said it really comes down to your hair type and frequency of use. If you have hair that's anything like mine, I'm really curious to know, do you have the Airwrap? And have you managed to get the curls to stay? Because I feel like I've tried every single thing and nothing I do has helped with the curls staying. Maybe I'm still doing something wrong, but as of now, nothing has worked. So for me, not really worth it. I would love to see comments that disagree with me because it would be nice to be able to make this work. Okay, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a like and a comment below, especially if you disagree. And I will see you in the next video. क्या है यार? Cooperate. This is taking forever. I just wanna be done. But now I'm halfway through, so I have to finish. My arms hurt.